very quickly. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Rob. I am a consultant. I make stuff go. If you have questions, please feel free to get in touch with me. SQL DBA with Beard is where you can find me. I'm lucky enough to be a dual MVP. I'm also incapable of using a clicker. So here I am. Woohoo! Hello. It's really cool. Look, bit of magic like this. And in fact, here I am. So I've got two cameras. There's one and there's two, just so you can actually get a view of what is going on whilst we're doing this presentation. And like Ben said, it's a bit weird because I'm trying to do a presentation about the things that I use to do a remote presentation. So it might be a little bit flippy, and we'll make it up as we go along, see what we get. So it's a remote presentation. Oh my word, this is terrible. What do I do? Do all the things you normally do. Practice. Speak out aloud. Build your presentation. Make sure your demos work. All of those things. So don't do that. If you're doing a remote presentation, then animations don't look as good as you think they do. Remotely, they'll be a lot slower because of people's bandwidth. But apart from that, just make sure that everything looks like you expect it to do. That's the end of the slides. So here's another thing. Let's make sure that everything is set up as you wish it to be. So have a nice clean background. Maybe you could use desktops and move so you keep everything in a different place. You get these in Windows 10 and in Windows 11. You can see I'm using Windows 11 here. So actually having a different desktop setup means that you're only going to have those programs that you want available to you. Nothing else is going to get in the way. So that's really cool. Here's something else that we should do is don't do this. Here's another thing that we really don't want to have is all of your directories on your desktop. Clean your desktop up. I mean, if need be, just grab everything and yes, I know that's because I've just deleted them. And if need be, have them all, move them all into a separate folder, but far better if you just have everything nice and clean. Make use of your focus assist. So I'm not going to risk clicking on that in case you see notifications that you perhaps shouldn't, but you can click on this link here in the bottom right of your taskbar and you get focus assist and set that to alarms only. So then it doesn't matter which programs are sending you notifications. Nothing is going to come up on the screen. You're not going to have your friends replying to tweets about you that are going to write messages on the screen that you don't see. So it's just little things just to clear everything up. But also, let's talk about, let's do this. And let's talk about, actually, let's do it this way, because this might be kind of fun. So if we change that to this, and we change that to this, then you should still be able to see me. I can put myself up here. Oh yes, the recycle bin is one that will always sit there anyway. But you can see that here I've got my microphone. Now, one thing you could do is just just use a headset. Whatever headset you got, it plugs in. If it works, it's fine. You've got some good noise there. That's absolutely fine. But if you want to make sure that you're getting everything as you expect it, then you want to get a nice microphone. Choose whichever microphone you want. And your microphone really should be quite close to you, because hopefully you can hear the difference. Once we're a little bit further away, then you perhaps can't hear me so much. and you're going to want to play with your gain. So what I'm going to do is that we've got here in it, and I'm going to put this over. So what am I using here? This program is Wavelink, comes with my Elgato Wave. This is my Elgato Wave, and it enables me to pick many different types of input for my sound and mix and match them however I want. I have it very simply set up. I have my wave and I have this Nvidia broadcast, which we'll come to in a minute. Now, when we set up our microphone, again, we want it nice and close or we want it far away. And if you watch these input levels, you can see that they really change as you move, and the sound of the voice will change as well. You need to play with your input gain. So if we turn this down, then we should not get as far up here. And if we turn it up, then we'll get some more. And you see we're starting to get a little bit of yellow there. I'm going to turn off some of these extra enhancements that you get with Wavelink. So you can see that just with a normal microphone, this is the sort of problem that you get. You might want to have lots of gain, maybe because you're a little bit further away, but that means that you're going to get all of this distortion. Now, hopefully, to me, everything sounds normal. To you, it's probably like, ah. With the Wavelink software, I can turn on this clip guard, and now it doesn't matter. I can absolutely shout, and it will automatically just clip the output volume so that you don't get that distortion. They've also got some additional things. Wave gain lock, that will stop other programs from changing the gain. Let's turn that back to something where it really should be. And this low cut filter, which should just change some of these low bass sounds. So that's really neat. It's a really good way. Make sure you have a go. Understand what your microphone sounds like. And how can you understand what your microphone sounds like? Well, remember in the presentation, I said, just practice. Well, this is how I practice. What I do is I open up Teams like this and have it on the calendar, and I click on this Meet Now. Now I can't click on this Meet Now because we're inside a Teams meeting. But once I'm in Start Meeting, it's just with myself, and I set up my devices as I want to, and then I click Record. And once I do all of my settings, what I normally do is I actually record a screen that looks a bit like this. So I can actually see what settings did I have and what did I sound like. And then I finish the meeting and all of my recordings will end up in my chat. So there we go. You can see there's a meeting, the recording is ready, and I could press play and then I can listen to that and I can hear it back. So when you're practicing your presentations, just make use of that and don't actually worry about it. Just go and have a play, see what happens. So yes, projector, yes, it's Inception, Mikhail. It's all a bit crazy. So when you're setting up your environment, you want to make sure you're in a nice, quiet area. So here I am, sat in my office. It's where I work. I've actually got the windows open. Everything's quite quiet. But sometimes my neighbours, as my dad, like to cut the grass, or sometimes the washing machine might be going. And here's an example of what that might sound like. I've got a fan, and I'm going to turn this fan on. And maybe that's a washing machine, or maybe it's a lawnmower. And what we've got is this awful background noise going on. So I can fix that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this to my Nvidia broadcast output. Nvidia broadcast is a, let's turn it on first, it'll be much better. There we go. So now I promise you, I mean, look, here we go, look, see, the fan is definitely still running, but you probably can't hear it at all. I can, so it's kind of annoying. What Nvidia Broadcast is, it's a free program that you can download, and it uses your graphics card to analyze the noise that's coming through, and as you can see, to remove some of this noise. It'll remove things like fans, like your neighbors cutting the grass, like the washing machine, like the sound of the toilet flushing next to you. It's really, really amazing. Got to make use of what you've got, Ravi. And so this is a really good setting to have. It's free. You have to have a certain graphics card capability to be able to use it. But hopefully, as you've seen, it's really super good. I really, really enjoy that. It's absolutely magic. So that's good. What about if we look at some lighting? So you see I've got my Stream Deck view here, and I've got the ability to flip between my PowerPoint, so that's just sharing that window, or the cameras. And as I said, I've got two cameras, so we'll flip back to this camera here. And then I've got my lights under control. So what you'll find is that if you turn off all of the lights, everything looks a bit odd. So we need to think about how we light ourselves when we're doing our remote presentation. So we could just turn on the top light, and that's going to give us some things. But you see, we've still got some shadow here. So I've got an Elgato light, and in fact, if I flip back to this one, here we go, then we should be able to just have a look. Come here, do as you're told. Oh, I was able to do this earlier without reaching around, but there we go. So we can see we've got a light up there. My main light is here. So this light here, which is looking down on everything. Yeah. Flip back to this one. So we can see that we're getting a nice, good view of me here. But also, you probably want some light behind you. The sun is shining through quite well here. When I was practicing this last night, it was a bit darker, and you need to have a bit of light behind you so that you actually stand out. You've got this light coming in front of you, showing what's going on. Sometimes you want to just keep that light away from behind you. Now with these Elgato lights, you can change them to be very, very white, make it very bright, very white, and make your head really grey. There we go. Or you can change the color, make it a little bit warmer. So now it's got sort of a yellowy color. So it's really worth spending a bit of time. Let's see, does that look like me? There we go. Spending a bit of time looking at how your lighting looks. And again, that's one reason why you're going to be recording your Teams meeting yourself, just so you can fiddle with these settings and get everything to look as you want. Thank you, Gail. So Gail's mentioned the green screen. And as it happens, what I have, I might need to shout now, is the green screen. So let's put the green screen up, white in the right place. But let's just mess with the camera a little bit. Here we go. So I don't quite have it set up exactly as I want, but now I'm actually able to set up a green screen. And I had real trouble thinking about how I can show this off in the best way. And the best way of doing that is, again, to make use of Nvidia Broadcast. So you can do it just within Teams. But here, Nvidia Broadcast have got this other setting, which enables you to, let's see what happens if we turn on, there we go. We turn on background removal. Now, as my friends have pointed out, green screen, green shirts, everything gets a little bit funny. But actually, you know what? I think that's pretty good. I think that's working really quite well. This is the view that you're going to see. I can't make it any bigger for you, unfortunately, but this is the view that you're going to see. Now you can just remove your background, which is really cool, because that enables you to do things like this. If we swap that over and then we use our Stream Deck, and we can change this one to the PowerPoint, and ta-da! Now we've suddenly appeared within our display. So we can now create some code. Let's get some code up. Let's get some code up. Here we go. Put it on that screen. Here we go. And now we can start pointing. Oh, hang on. It's fun. This is the hand I think it should be, but this is the one that it really is. And you can start saying, well, look, this is how my magic thing worked with that. So how did I set that up? Of course, I needed my green screen to be able to set this up, but also, thanks. Okay, I'm in Inception head. Let's see where we are. There we are. I'm doing that with Streamlabs Obs. So some people use Obs Studio. I use Streamlabs Obs because it feels more comfortable to me. So in Streamlabs Obs, we've got these different views. So we've got our mixer over here, which is showing us what levels we've got if we are doing some recordings. So there's a record button down there. I can record what I'm doing, or I can stream straight to Twitch or straight to YouTube or any of those places. Right now, what I have done is, no, I'll tell you that in a minute. So here we've got our view. This is what we are going to be displaying. So if we were doing it on a screen, or if we were doing it in a recording, or we were doing it for our YouTube, whatever, or as a share for our presentation, this is what we will be able to see. We've got a number of scenes here. And what we do is we add a source. We can pick whatever we want. So most often you're going to be capturing a window, or you're going to be capturing some audio, or you're going to be capturing your video camera. And then we have created our video capture here. So we've got all of the various cameras that I've got available, and I've chosen the Nvidia Broadcast because that's the one that's got the green screen, that's done the background removal for me. And you can set various settings there. And then I've got a display capture, so I could actually just show part of my display, or I could show all of it. As you can see, I can move myself around on the screen. I can set up this scene as I want it. But the other thing that we need to do, the other thing that we have done, is a right click on here and I choose filters. And if I edit my filters on the display capture, thank you very much. If I edit my filters, you see that I've got a chroma key filter here that's picked to a particular type of green. And that is how, you can't click it on there, you can only click it on here. That is how I got myself to appear in my presentation. So this is my PowerPoint straight at the base. There's my PowerPoint. And then here, what I've done is I've used that same color green and I've created a color. And then down at the bottom, I've got just a little note that tells my PowerShell to change the scene. So this is Obs Speaker Circle. So if we look at Obs, if we look at Speaker Circle, you can see the Speaker Circle has got my Sony camera here. It's also got my Elgato Wave, so you can see the volumes going for when I'm doing remote presentations or recordings. And then it's capturing my display. And that means that everything that I show on the display that is this colored green just gets hidden. And then we see the camera behind. Now, we have to make sure that the display is at the top of this list and then the camera. So let's flip back to cameras. So the top source that you have is the one that gets is the one that's seen at the front, and then all of these are underneath. So we have to make sure the display is at the top, and that's going to then create a hole in it for anything that's this colored green, and then we will appear. That's really cool. Other thing that Obs allows you to do is with the virtual webcam, you start the virtual webcam, and then that becomes my input into here. So if I look at my setting, no, I don't want those settings, do I? What I want is the other settings. Oh, wow, let's try that one. There we go. So if I look at here on my device settings, what I've chosen is my Streamlabs Obs virtual webcam, which means that I can change to my PowerPoint, I can change to 2 cameras, I can take myself away from here, or I can go back to cameras, and all of that then comes through as the webcam. So that's really neat. It's really useful. But when you're doing a presentation, what you want to share is a desktop, because that gives you much more control. So in Obs, what I do is I right click here and I've got a projector and I create myself an output projector. So this is, which has now completely vanished. Good work, Rob. There it is. So this is my projector output. It's just this. And then I can click. Oh, let's see. Let's pick one of these, see which one it is. Oh, that's that one over there. Okay, let's try this one. There we go. So you can make it full screen as well. You can set that up. Now we're getting a bar down the side because I have forgotten to do one thing. So what I would normally do is I would normally have my display set to 1920 by 1080. So that is a display screen that I would be sharing normally, but because I'm inside Inception, I've left it this way. So make sure you set your display resolution the right way around, and you can make this full screen, and that becomes what you share. Click the wrong one. And then with my Streamlabs Obs, I can then, ta-da, here I am. I appear magically inside my shared screen, but I'm getting complete control over what it is that I set up. So I can completely see how everything works. So those are some of the little tricks that I use to make sure that my presentation looks as it should do. Last but not least, how did I do this? So if you come to this link, let me put this link in the chat. There we go. So if we go into this link, then that is how I got Streamlabs Obs to change when I'm doing my PowerPoint slideshow and move myself around. let's do that. Then you can actually see me talking as well. But you can also do the same thing. There's a link to there for Scott Hanselman's blog post where he does the same thing with Obs Studio, but that requires you to use a C# program, which I'm no good at that. Luckily, Streamlabs Obs lets me do it with some PowerShell. Windows PowerShell only, but some PowerShell. So I think I've covered all the things that I wanted to say here. Keep your background empty. Get rid of your notifications. Make sure that you set your resolution correctly. Set up your microphone, but make use of the gain, make use of additional software, so Nvidia Broadcast or the Wavelink software. Make use of the things that allows you to do. Teams itself is pretty good at hiding some of this background noise and making you sound good, but it's best to take advantage of some of these extra bits. Make sure you have good lighting. So you don't just want to have lighting that comes down from above. You want to have lighting that comes at you, and you even want to have lighting behind you. Especially important when you have a green screen. If you have a green screen set up, then you particularly want to make sure you've got some light hitting that. Otherwise, it's really easy for you to fade in. And it works even if you're wearing the same coloured shirt as your green sheet. Okay, so that was pretty much everything that I wanted to show you, apart from, here's the other thing, Stream Deck. So Stream Deck has the ability to interact with not just your lights, not just your cameras, but also with Streamlabs itself and Obs Studio, as you can see up there. And it allows you to change, if we go to here, this is changing our input on our screen. So it's actually turning on or off our particular Sony camera input or our Brio input. These ones are then changing the scene from the cameras to the two cameras to the PowerPoint, and then turning my camera on and off. So we can control all of these things here. Stream Deck is really, really cool at being able to sort all of those things out. And in fact, I even use it to change my gain and to maybe mute myself. Hopefully back again. There we go. So if there are any questions, I'm going to go through and have a chat. Feel free to unmute. I'm going to have a look and see what we've got here.
I got 2 questions.
Okay, go for it.
So, I mean, my setup is not completely different, but slightly. So, first of all, let me start with that. Thank you, because there was a bunch of stuff I've learned today, and that's where my 2 questions are resulting from. I've also put the one in the chat. Why, I think you've briefly mentioned it, but maybe you can elaborate again. Why are you preferring Streamlabs Obs over Obs Studio? Because I'm currently on Obs Studio, and also with Wavelink and Nvidia Broadcast, that you're basically using these two to filter and clean your audio and to filter and clean your video. That's kind of what you're doing with it. But OBS could do the same thing. So why have 2 extra tools and therefore 2 extra potential points of failure in that chain of command if you could all do it in one? I'm pretty sure there's a good reason. So,
okay, so the first question is why do I use Streamlabs Obs and not Obs Studio?
Yes.
It's Chrissy Lemaire's fault. Lots of things.
Damn it, Chrissy.
Chrissy Lemaire's fault. One of the reasons is I just when I started wanting to do some streaming, I went and checked to see what she said, and she said she tried both and she wanted this. So I went and started using it, and I found it really simple to use. I then tried to use Obs Studio, and yeah, I could make it work, but I just enjoyed this a little bit better. This just worked for me nicer. The other question you asked was about audio and particularly video. So why do I do my background changes with my Nvidia Broadcast? Because it works better than it does within Obs Studio or Streamlabs Obs, in that it is more responsive. It seems that when I do it with this, the performance is better, and I don't end up so jerky and so many sort of bits and pieces around here. To be fair, Teams does a pretty good job, but Zoom doesn't do as good a job in my experience with this. When I come to it sounds a little bit complicated, because yes, I'm moving the sound through a number of places, and there's various places where it goes wrong. This particularly goes wrong when I work for clients inside a virtual machine, because for some reason known only to Windows, it will not let me use Teams, will not see this output, even though it's set as a default output and it can be used everywhere else. So I don't know why. It's a little bit of annoyance. The reason I use this, absolutely, is this noise removal. So the noise removal is fantastic. My stepmom absolutely loves cutting grass, and I'm not kidding. She absolutely loves cutting grass. I am in a south-facing office, so I want to have my windows open in the summer when it's been hot, which is when she wants to cut the grass. So this just takes it all completely away. It is absolutely fantastic. I use the Wave Link because it's really good. I've got it set up very simply here, because I've just got my wave. This is my input from this microphone, and this is the input from the Nvidia broadcast, and then I flip between the two there. But you can add further inputs. Thank you. So you could add music or browser or system, so you can put things in there, and then you can play with the level. So that's why I would do it there. The other reason is because I don't always want to have Streamlabs Obs working. I might want to just be in a Teams call or a Zoom call or a webinar, GoToWebinar or something like that, and then I still want to have that control over my video and my microphone. So does that answer your questions?
Yeah, that's fair. And since I got for the Wavelink, I'm actually using a dedicated hardware device. So, but I see where you're coming, and it makes perfect sense. And yeah, I kind of came to the point that my webcam is always the Obs virtual camera, so I don't mind it being on basically 24/7. But it totally makes, especially because both Obs Studio and Streamlabs Obs are significant resource eaters, so it makes sense to potentially not have them running all the time. So thank you.
You're more than welcome. Let me see, what else have I got? Yes, I could. Yeah, I can mirror the camera to make it the right place, Barney. That's an excellent trick. Although, to be honest, I'm normally looking at I'm looking at what I am sharing, so it is always in reverse. It's this inception thing here. Is there any alternative to the? I think you mean to the Nvidia broadcast one, Barney. You're talking about the noise removal. Barney is typing.
Barney could also come off mute if they wanted.
I was about to say the same thing.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Excellent. It was a general question. I spent a lot of time in Obs using some of these sound filters there, but realized I had that similar issue that now if I want to filter my sound, I have to turn up Obs and use that as the microphone. My understanding was one of the advantages of the Wavelink was you could do things like sound removal and equalizing there in that software. I'm like Ben, I bought a different type of hardware, so I was wondering if there was a more open piece of software that could kind of act as a virtual mixer that I can feed the sound into and then come out as a microphone that I could use, not just going into Obs, but Teams and Zoom and wherever I'm interested in feeding sounds to.
Gotcha. Now I'm pretty certain, but we can just check that the Wavelink software is free. Yeah, so I think this is I think you could just use the Wavelink software. It will take in any audio input that you want. Now, of course, it specifically is going to work well with this one, and it's going to give you your gains and things in there. But you can definitely pull it in here and use it as a mixer for certain. The noise removal part I do with Nvidia Broadcast. That is a free download that works with specific graphic cards. You can use a hack in the XML of the program to make it work with other ones, but your performance isn't going to be as good. But equally, there are some other software. I think it's called CRISPR. It's absolutely not called CRISPR. Here we go. Googling live in a recording. Okay, I can't remember. There are other softwares that you can get. Maybe somebody's going to dump in here and say the name of the program, because I was reading about it yesterday. That will software do CRISPR AI. There we go. Thank you very much, Mr. Kaman. Let's bring that down here. So crisp.ai. So I wasn't far off. There we go. So you've got this program here that works and does the same thing. I don't know what it uses, but I certainly saw some good reviews of that does the same thing. Any more questions? Yeah, it would be awesome if they would change it. As a mixer, it would work, but to be able to do the gain and all the rest of it would be really useful.
Going once, going twice, going thrice.
Was that useful? Was that the sort of thing that you?
I mean, I can only speak for myself, but hell yeah, I'm going to steal some of those ideas. I expect
Absolutely.
my slides to talk next week, literally.
Good.
I've got a question if you have time, Rob.
I have time, my friend, of course.
Have you tried using PowerPoint with a complete green background, and then just have yourself, instead of you behind in front of a green screen, just overlay the PowerPoint like that? So you're standing in front of some random background, like well, mine is a bit boring, but you can just see what is on your PowerPoint appear here because you have a green background in your PowerPoint. Have you tried that?
Yeah, I did something like that where I actually used Microsoft Whiteboard, and I set that up so that then I could write on my iPad on the whiteboard, and that would appear in amongst myself. But then Rob Farley came along and just blew me away because he did it so much better, and he was right in there. It was fantastic. So that was one thing I'd done. You're absolutely right. There's no reason why you couldn't just set that up. I mean, I guess one thing you could do is, I guess you would have to change you'd still change your background on here though, wouldn't you?
You'd, instead of overlaying yourself and your green screen behind you, and then on top of your PowerPoint, you'd put PowerPoint in front of you, and the PowerPoint itself would be green screen that shines through. And then as soon as you have something that not animates but appears on that green deck, next slide would also be green, but something appears, then it would just appear somewhere here or something, right? I don't know. It's not my day job, right?
Rob Farley really did something, not exactly what you're describing, but he did something similar. So for his teaser video for the past Data Community Summit, he basically started to draw in green on his PowerPoint, and that's how he basically came out of the slide. So he wasn't using like a green rectangle or something, but a whiteboard, which in fact was a green board, but kind of same thing.
He was doing it all on his Surface as well, which was even more creepy.
In the beginning,
right. So
sorry, Ben.
Go for it, Ben.
Did you just call Rob creepy?
Frequently.
Very good. Just check.
If we do that and change this, let's create which scene do we want? We want no, not that. That one, thank you. And we want that scene. Right, so we'll just duplicate that. Call it Andre. Okay, so right, so I want to go back to background removal there. So now I am, this would be, this here is the output. We've always got to remember that this is what we would be seeing as the output. So if I now come back, and let's end this show a minute, and then insert a text box here.
I hope this works.
If not, tried with Ben is awesome.
Then that's a good alternative there.
So we'll put that one there, and then on this one, go over there, and we'll put
one of them will work for sure.
no. Why will he not give me it? Oh! Which Rob failed to type. Right. So now we should be able to, if we do this, here's our output. Let's make our output big. And now, if we grab our trusty, we click on here. Oh,
I guess you have to.
There. What have we done wrong here?
You need a real green screen remover, I guess, not just background removal from the app. It doesn't understand. So it needs to remove the actual green color.
Oh, wait.
Yes, you can create a folder and add to the folder the presentation and also a downstream here that removes the green.
Yeah, there will be a way of doing it, Andre. That is without doubt.
This is the alternative of don't type in a demo, right? Somebody asks a question, let's try this.
You know me. I'll always try it.
the early days of when people started to do this remote kind of presentation where they wanted themselves in this sharing of the desktop, the sound would be not synced to the face and whatnot. Is there anything that you need to still look out for, or is that it just works these days? The software has improved, and as long as you have a decent PC or something and not a crappy laptop, you'll be fine.
That's the important bit. Having some processing power is absolutely what you need here. That is what's going to make that work. You still will find that sometimes. There we go.
It works. Is Ben awesome as well?
So what we have is that, and then Andre's awesome, and Ben is also awesome. But the background that we've got here is because this is coming through as black. So the black text on the black text doesn't work. So what we have to do is make that yellow and make that black. And then Ben is also awesome. Ta-da!
Yay!
So yeah, so that's pretty neat. You can be here. Here I am doing my presentation. Click. Oh yeah, Andre is awesome. Look, here he is. Look here. Here he is being awesome. And then Ben, look, Ben over there. Look, whichever way around is being awesome.
I think, generally speaking, every single presentation out there should just have a random Andre's awesome slide in between.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I shall look forward to seeing yours.
Hang on for next week.
That's cool. I've learned something as well, so that's really neat.